Hi, welcome back to Repairing Lawnmowers for Profit. In this video I'm going to show you how to replace this starter rope on this Mountfield S481 PD Petrol Lawnmower. This is a new lawnmower, but as the years go by these ropes will start to wear out. And some of these models actually come with an electric start, and if you've got that you're very lucky, because obviously when you're using it you're not going to wear the pull cord out. But for anybody who's got this model of lawnmower looking to replace this pull cord, I'm going to show you how to do it right now. If you've got a similar model or any petrol lawnmower such as one like this, it's a very similar procedure, so stick with the video and I'll show you exactly how to do it. This is the actual Mountfield S481 PD with the overhead valve engine there. As you can see, it's an ST170 and there's a sticker on the side that tells you the actual model number of the engine, which is a WBE 170. So for anybody interested in this lawnmower, there's actually a link in the description to where you can purchase this, and the reason I've said that is because in the top right hand corner now I'm going to link you to a 5-minute review video of this actual lawnmower. It's fantastic this. I've done a 45-minute video of it and a 5-minute review, but in the top right hand corner of your screen now you'll see a quick 5-minute review video, and during this video I'll put links in the top right hand corner to pretty much every video that I've done on this lawnmower since I've had it. But to get started you might wonder how to actually remove this recoil cover, and you're looking for these actual bolts that go through here, and there are actually 2 nuts that sit on the top of here, and you can undo those but you still can't get this actual cover off. What you need to do is just take your fingers on this actual cover at the back here and you can feel it lifts up. So if you get the front and pop the front like that, you can feel it moves about a little bit. So what I usually do is just pull this up from the back like this, and it just pops up, and then you can just very carefully prise that off from the front. And with that removed you can get to this 3rd nut here and take the 3rd nut off, and you just have to take these 3 parts off, and this whole starter recoil is in one piece. It's not attached to the petrol tank, which is great. I'm going to remove that right now. So you can now see that this actual starter recoil is removed from here. If I was doing any more work on this lawnmower, I'd unplug this spark plug lead as well. It's always something I recommend doing. But with that out of the way, what we need to do is just remove these 3 nuts from here. You will need a socket to do this because they don't actually lie flat with the cover. So I've got a 10mm extended socket, and I've got this impact wrench as well. So I'm going to take this out here like this. With these 3 parts undone, it's really quick and easy just to take this off. This whole thing just lifts off out the way. Make sure that one's off far enough. As you can see here, just take these parts out of here so I don't lose them. And you can see there, this whole recoil's off. I'm going to show you how to replace the rope and some other things as well, just to look for if this isn't actually operating as it should and it's not actually turning the flywheel to start the mower. So I'll just show you a few things that may actually cause some problems with these recoil covers. You see, when I pull this here, I pull the actual rope, you can see, watch these little parts pop out of the centre of here. You can see these metal parts that just pop out, they retract again. If your lawnmower's been stood for say a few years on one of these, sometimes these don't pop out, they don't catch on the flywheel, and it won't actually pull the engine of the lawnmower over. So that's just one little thing I always like to point out. And one thing I'll say about these actual recoils is I don't replace the springs on these anymore, because a lot of the time the spring is kind of half the price of the whole part. Now in here you could undo all this, and there's a tiny spring, probably about just under a couple of inches, and it sits inside this part here. Now if you undo this, you're potentially putting yourself at a bit of danger, because that spring actually expands probably to the width of this workbench I'm working on. You've got to be very careful with things like that. So what I do is I just replace the whole part, and you can see how easy that would be to do. You take the 3 nuts off, take the old one off, replace it with a new one. So with that being said, that's the way I do it, and I will link, if I can find one, because it's a new mower this, if I can find a complete recoil cover for this, there will be a link in the video description here on YouTube as well. So just take a look in there if you're looking for a part for this lawnmower. A lot of people wonder which actual numbers they need to quote to find these recoil covers. If you're just looking on eBay or something like that, you'll probably find this in a few years time if you just type Mountfield S481. But if you go into your main dealer, they'll want some certificates off you, some numbers, and you'll need to show them this number here. The actual model number of this lawnmower is an MP1504 SQ, and that's the model number that they'll want quoted to supply you with the correct parts for this lawnmower. So I'm just going to put something on this bench here just to put this on, because I don't want to mark anything on this mower. With it being nice and new, try and keep it in good condition, because we are going to turn this over now and we're going to change over this actual pull rope in here. The reason you'd need to do this, obviously if it's snapped and it's all retracted back in itself, or even if it looks frayed, you'd be much better off changing the rope before it snaps and leaving it frayed. So I'm going to show you how to remove the rope now. So the way I normally do this is to pull this actual rope right out and normally reach around with a clamp, and I normally use this clamp just to actually stop the spring tension, actually winding this back up as it goes along. But I can't do it with this clamp because it's quite wide between the actual outer side of this recoil and the part that I need to stop turning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out as far as it needs to go and just keep putting my finger on here. So you need to have enough tension on there to stop it going back. So I'm just going to pull this out as far as I need to, as far as the rope will let me. And the thing to do here is really try and line this rope up here, so that where it comes out with this actual recoil here and through this housing is in a nice straight line like that. And if you've got safety glasses, I always recommend put them on doing it this way. This isn't really the ideal way to do it, but if you put something through this cover here like this and you just stop this actual recoil spinning back, you should be able to remove the rope like that. So that's not an ideal way of doing it. It's a bit of a rough and ready way of doing that, but I can't actually clamp that. So I'm suggesting if you do this, just put some safety glasses on. You can see it goes through here. It's not going to cause any damage really, and if it did a little bit of damage and nick this plastic slightly, you've also got this cover that goes back over the top, so you won't see it anyway. So you've got that through there. Nothing's going to come back and spin around. What I like to do next is I just take some long nose pliers and we're going to grab hold of this actual knot here and just pull this out. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut this end off here. So imagining this is an old rope, of course, which it isn't, you just take yourself a knife and just cut the actual knot off there, and you can actually pull this whole thing out of here, and you've got the whole rope out there. You've got everything out and you can replace this. Now the next question most people will have is, well, how long is this rope? Well, if the other one's just frayed and you're replacing it, obviously you can lie it next to it and you can just cut yourself another piece of rope. But I'm going to lie this on the floor, I'm going to measure it for you and tell you exactly how long this piece of rope is. So as you can see, I've got this out here. I'm just going to give you my best estimate. So it's just over 7 foot, it's sort of 7 foot 6, 7.5 foot. Or about 225, 230 centimetres. So if you've obviously got the old one, just lie your new rope alongside it, and I'll actually put a link to some pull cord ropes that size in the description of this video. I have a full roll of this and it's actually up there, look. If you just get some 3.5mm pull cord rope, anything that's around that length will be fine. As long as it's not too short, it'll be fine. So I have this here, I have 100 metres of it, and it's 3.5mm. So if you were going to swap it over, this would be absolutely fine. I'll link to some of this in the description of the video. I'll link to the whole reel of it as well, and I'll link to some single ones, which will be slightly cheaper, but probably not by much. So the next thing you'll need to do, if this is a broken rope or frayed, is just actually remove the pull cord from the other end. I usually just push a screwdriver through here. I'll grab it with some needle nose pliers, and you can remove it. And that gives you this handle that you can use again. So I'll have to ask you to use your imagination a little bit here, so I don't want to waste any rope. Imagine this is your new pull cord rope. I'm going to put this end down here, as you can see. I'm just going to get this up through here like this, and you'll notice when I'm doing this how frayed this is, and it's really difficult to get through. I'm going to show you how to sort that out first. To make the whole process easier of replacing this starter rope, the best thing you can do is just get a cheap lighter like this, or a match, and just burn the end of this, and this actually stops it fraying. And I just nip it like that, make it into a little point, and if you do that, it's a lot easier to thread this back through here as well. You can push this around the corner here, as you can see, like this. And I'm just going to tie myself a knot in here and pull it tight. You can put 2 in there if you wanted, it won't make much difference. I normally put a couple in and just put them next to each other really close like that. Get some pliers, give it a little pull tight just to make sure everything's nice and tight and the knots are tight, it's not going to come off. And then I just grab this and pull this back through here. That's the handle on. I've not done anything else with this part yet. You don't need to do that. And I'm going to do the same at the other end as well. I'm going to burn this end of the pull cord rope as well to make it easier to push this whole thing back through here. So we'll do exactly the same at the other end. And just especially at this end, when you're putting it back into the recoil, this really does make it easier on a lot of different mowers. Make it into a nice point so you can push this back through as easy as possible. Probably just about see there, I've made a little point on the end of there. So the next thing we need to do is the fun part. So the reason for lining all this up is because we need to get this actual new pull cord rope through this hole here and through this hole that's on this actual recoil part here, and with the end burnt and pointed like that, it's a lot easier to line these things up. So I'm going to put that in there, and then you've just got the case of kind of messing about a little bit just to get the actual rope to go back through the actual hole where the recoil is. So what you need to look for is the actual little hole down the back of here where the actual cord comes in through. It's quite difficult to film, but on the inner part here there's a hole. And what you need to do is get this actual cord and push it through both the holes, the outer one here, and then hopefully, if you've got it nice and lined up, this actual cord just pops through this little hole inside here. It can be a little bit fiddly to do. Sometimes just turning the actual cord over as well helps a little bit. And I can just about see the end of that coming through this hole now. And hopefully you can just about see there. I can get hold of the end of this and I can pull it through. Now at this stage it's really important not to let go of the clamp. This would be better with a clamp. I don't really like doing it this way, but whatever you do at this point, don't let go of the clamp. Make sure you tie yourself a knot in here and pull this round here. Just tighten this up, and again I usually put a couple of knots in here and make them fairly small because you want to sit these back in the recoil where they're not going to catch anything. I'm going to pull these tight as well, and then I'm going to pull the cord back through here, and it should sit nicely in this gap here. This is why you don't want the knots too tight, and give that a real good pull just to make sure the knots aren't going to pull out. Now if you haven't already put this end on here, just be very careful, because once you release your clamp or remove this screwdriver, the whole thing's going to wind up, and if you haven't got this end on, it'll take all that up and it'll all go inside. So make sure you've got this end on before you remove the clamp. I'm going to get hold of this screwdriver and take this out of here, and slowly I'm just going to let this actually take up this pull cord rope here. There's a lot of tension on this spring, so I'm just struggling a little bit to hold it, and that's it. You can see there, that's the whole pull cord replaced. So if you've got a better clamp than that, I really do suggest clamping it. You can get that over there and you can hold the whole thing. Because this is quite a wide recoil, I don't actually have a clamp big enough. But when you've got that back in there, obviously you can make sure that the whole thing moves. And I always give it a little bit of spray up in here with a bit of WD-40 as well, just to make sure these parts aren't going to stick. And you can see there's no damage to the top of this whatsoever, and of course you've got this cover to go back on. So let's just put this back on the machine. In the top right hand corner of your screen now, I'm going to link to a playlist of every video I've done on this lawnmower as well. I've done all sorts of little different things with it, so if you've got this lawnmower, you might just want to go and see that playlist and maybe bookmark it or save it on YouTube or whatever people do these days. But to put this back on, obviously really simple, real straightforward, good design. Just put these parts back on, just tighten these back up, and then we're going to put this cover back on. Everything's still in nice condition. Put the back one in first, click it down. Then I'm going to put the pull cord back in position. You'll have to pull the handle at the top to do this. Of course, if you've got your spark plug in, there is a chance this could start, so you have to be very careful. I'm going to pull this back up to where it wants to go, hook it back in, and we're just going to tighten this back up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, we've got over 300 lawnmower repair videos on this channel now, and over 11,000 subscribers, so do me a massive favour if I've helped you out. Even if you don't intend to watch any more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button and just give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment in the actual comments section of the video. So I hope it's helped you out. I hope it's helped you fix the starter recoil, or given you some ideas what's wrong with it on this Mountfield S481, and I hope you join me again next time here on Repairing Lawnmowers for Profit. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time hopefully.